Okay, welcome in everybody. This is the 40 Acres postgame show as you see down below. I am with D4 Sports right there. I am Matthew Miller, and we just witnessed a hell of a game between Alabama, number 1, versus Texas, unranked, 20-19. Us Texas fans were a roller coaster of emotions. I will tell you that much. Wow, it was a hell of a game. I'm still going through it. I'm sure D4 is going through it. How are you doing, D4?
Oh man, stomach's still trying to calm down. It's just wow, what a game! I mean, just for hats off to PK and this defensive staff and these defensive players that absolutely came out and played exactly the way we know they can, and just implementing the game plan and coming out and doing exactly what needed to be done. But we just come up short.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those things where it sucks, but we're proud of our team. We're proud of the effort that they put in. Obviously, a lot to break down in this game from a lot of the missed calls with the officials. I mean, we'll definitely dive into that because that is infuriating. I haven't seen a game like a big time game like this badly reffed in a long, long time. And officials just in every sport need to be held accountable better. Like, these guys aren't really going to suffer. They're going to be calling a game, I'm sure, next week. And that just isn't right after what they did today. It was terrible. Let's get to some of these comments. Watch the best QBs against Y. Oh, okay, that has nothing to do with this. The back judge ref behind Young grabbed his flag when Young dipped down to avoid the sack because he saw the hold on the right tackle. Then when Young slipped out to run, he took out the hand out of pocket. I'm going to be honest, I didn't see that. There was a hold there, 100%. But also, I'm not going to make an excuse because Ryan Watts should have made that play. Like, you got to get Bryce Young down that situation. You have a clear shot at him. To me, you aimed at the wrong body part. You never go after a guy's chest is what he was going for. If he aims for his legs, just takes out his legs, it's a sack, or at least makes him trip up enough to where someone else can rally and get there. So that's definitely an issue. There may have been a hold, sure. And to be honest, there was holding on both sides. That's one thing I did see. Offensive line-wise, I think they kind of let things go evenly on both sides. But let me tell you, there was no evenness when it came to pass interference against our wide receivers. They were consistently holding the whole game. There was consistently pass interference. The one in the end zone to Jatavian Sanders, another one to Worthy. I mean, it was just all around bad.
Yeah, officiating was up and down. Of course, the safety and the missed field goal. 5 points right there we left on the board. I don't know. I can't put it into words how proud I am of this team, and for it to be taken. I'm not going to say be taken away on some bad calls, but some didn't go in our favor, and I just can't express how much I'm just proud of this team.
I am as well. I mean, Hudson Card, he didn't play great, but he was also playing on one leg for most of the game. He's definitely a gamer. He has my respect, but there's still those things that we know as Texas fans that we've seen with him before, where he's very complacent, or not complacent, but very indecisive when it comes to throwing the football. You see times where guys are open and he knows they're open. He'll see him, but instead of just letting it rip, he'll take a second or two, and a second or two takes too long. Like in high school, you can get away with that. In college, you can't get away with that. In the NFL, this is the NFL, those incompletions are now interceptions, so it'd be even worse there. So he really needs to get better at that. I don't know if that's just his nature and he can't really get better at it, but I really believe if Quinn Ewers plays this game, we win this game by 10+ points. I don't think they could stop him. The guy had when he left, over 170 yards passing or something like that, I think.
He was 9 of 12 for 134.
134. Okay, so 134 yards. Bryce Young, in the game had barely 200? Did he even reach 200? So
Bryce Young,
yeah.
Yeah, he finished 27 of 39 for 213 and one touchdown.
So, I mean, Quinn was destroying their defense. Alabama's secondary is not very good. If they can't get to the quarterback, they're going to have issues this year, which I'm sure they will get to the quarterback. That's another thing I want to props to. Our offensive line played very good. The play calling was very good. The young guy, Kelvin Banks, I don't think got beat at all today.
Yeah, Hummus Hero has a point right there. The missed face mask that would have been a 1st and goal. Clearly face mask, head turned, everything. So, and Searcher Green 9, Ewers. I don't the way that he landed, you can't tell a person's if he's able to raise his arm. You don't know the extent of the injury.
No,
You
this
can't call
is
him a dog.
no, exactly. First off, if he has a broken collarbone, yeah, let's play on a broken collarbone, and then every time he lands, it's going to be an excruciating pain. That's not a dumb comment. You don't know what the injury is. I dare you to go out and get hit with a baseball bat right in the shoulder, and then try to go in without your day, without feeling normal. That's not going to happen. If it's an AC joint, then fine, you might be able to call him out on that, but that's still pain. Like, I understand it, and I don't really care if he misses next week. I'm just worried about going forward that he misses. We don't really need for UTEP. He did on the sideline. What? I don't even know what that means.
I think he means he raised his arm on the sideline or something.
Oh, he was also in a sling afterwards. So there's definitely 100% AC joints are no joke. I think you could, for the most part, can get a shot though and be pretty good. I don't think obviously it's still gonna hurt. But collarbone, if that's a collarbone injury, he's probably out for most of the rest of the year. He might make it back by the end of the season, the last couple of games of the season. But that's about it.
Yeah, some of these other stats, if it wasn't for that long run by Jace McClellan, we, handled him well. Bryce Young had 7 carries, 38 yards. Jameer Gibbs only had 9 carries for 22. That one big pop play for 81 yards, I believe. The one mistake we made right there. But Jameer Gibbs did catch well out of the backfield, nine catches, 74 yards and a touchdown. But I'm just proud of the heart. Defense is much improved. Yes, it was a safety, by the way, too. Yeah, I agree.
Even if it wasn't a safety, okay, so there's multiple possibilities. He was down, safety. Number 2, he got out, which it looked like he did. He threw it away. Intentional grounding. There's no one there. He never got out of the pocket. Safety. 3, you don't want to call anything. The ball's out. Texas jumps on it. Touchdown. So there's nothing there that Texas should have gotten points from that play. Whatever it was, it should have been points. And people can say, oh, the officials don't affect the game. That's literally taking points off the scoreboard. That's literally adding 2 points to our score and also getting the ball in probably pretty good field position. We get 2 first downs. We're in field goal range. So it's one of those things where that's 100% an officiating error. And how do I know that it's an officiating error? Because they basically said the roughing the passer never even happened when they came back. Like, they knew they had messed up so bad that they're like, yeah, we can't call that, when clearly nothing happened there. Like, if you watch the replay, DeMarvion Overshown touches Bryce Young's legs as he's going down. That's all that happened. It's inexcusable. The face mask is inexcusable because the guy's standing right there looking, like, watching the play happen, and you don't see it. It's utterly atrocious how bad these officials were. I think they were from the Big 12. And by the way, we hate Big 12 officials. Go back to the Oklahoma State game. Talk about another game. Oklahoma State game in Charlie Strong, where he ran into the official when the official chest bumps him. So, it's frustrating. But yeah, I think they were from the Big 12, Dave E, because I recognize the head ump. I'm not 100% sure if all of them are. I don't know how that works, if during those type of games that you have a mixed crew. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm trying to look it up right now.
But overall, very good. Alabama had 15 penalties at the end of the game. They could have easily had 20. Like, they did not. They had so many plays where they were holding or grabbing on that weren't called. They had other plays that weren't called as well, face mask, stuff like that. So, and to be honest with you, if Quinn Ewers in the game, and I'm not even really talking about the officials, because I think we win the game if he's in. I really believe that. And of course, it happens against Alabama again. Drip and Jay 2 times. Okay, so as of right now, if we play the way we did versus Alabama, no. But the thing is, we have to continuously play like that. And that's been the issue with Texas's program. There's no consistency in how we play. We've seen us play up. Look at that 2019 game, guys. That's one of the 3 best teams that have ever played college football in LSU. Ever. 3 best. And when we were a 3rd down and 17 away from probably winning that game, or at least tying it going into overtime, who knows what happens. So yeah, it's about the consistency. If we play with that same heart and Quinn Ewers is healthy going forward, I don't think there's a team in the Big 12 that can beat us personally.
I if we could, like you said, consistency, depending on how long Ewers is going to be out. I don't trust in Hudson Card. I cannot put my faith into a guy that holds the ball too long, cannot make a decision, and gives up sacks the way he does.
Yeah, that's his biggest issue is, like you said, just indecisiveness that leads to turnovers or sacks. I will say he played better today than he normally does. And when he gets time and he has time back there to throw, he's good because he's got a strong arm and he's athletic. But the issue is when he doesn't have time, when the play breaks down, where you saw that with Quinn. Quinn has that same Bryce Young concept where he was never like, when there was pressure in his face, he didn't hurry a throw. He didn't care. And unluckily for him, he jumped on that one throw to get rid of it. And then Dallas Turner just drove him into the ground. I didn't think it was a dirty hit. Definitely a penalty, but it's one of those things. Unfortunately for him, he's hurt.
Sorry.
You really think Hudson Card is not that guy? No, I don't think he's that good. He's also not that guy. He doesn't have the mentality, and he's just not that guy. There are certain games where he could get us through and win. There's probably half the games in the Big 12 where we wouldn't need Quinn Ewers to win regardless if we play with the same intensity and energy level that we did in every other aspect. But the issue is in those games where you need 1 to 2 big throws, I don't think he has the capability of making it.
Yeah, I agree. Walter Shouts, big time recruiting win for us, hanging in there, fighting tooth and nail, having a chance to win the game with 1:29 left on the clock. They were a lot of big time recruits at this game, and a lot of guys that we haven't yet got a commitment from, and they're seeing we're this little piece away. I believe you, Drip Boy J, 2 times. He said, "I'm telling y'all that Quinn is the guy. Kane Worthy did good. You're proud of Jordan Whitting." Yeah, of course. I'm telling y'all, Quinn stood in the pocket with somebody coming screaming in his face and let that ball go for Xavier Worthy and just dropped a dime with pressure in his face.
Yeah. And Worthy played pretty good for the most part. Obviously, dropping that touchdown early on hurt really badly, but still pretty good game from him. Jordan Whittington played very well early on, kind of disappeared late, but played very well. I like this team going forward. I mean, our offensive line played a lot better than I thought they would. A lot better. I'm very proud of those guys. There were times where they would leave Will Anderson one-on-one with Kelvin Banks, and he held up.
And he held his own.
I think that's very impressive. He's not going to face another pass rusher that good in the Big 12. He's just not. So maybe Will McDonald from Iowa State, but that's about it. And I was very impressed.
Yes, Will Anderson did get a sack.
He got one.
Right there at the very end.
Yeah, he got probably the most important sack of the game.
Yeah, on that play, if he does not get that sack, Jatavion Sanders is open right there if Will Anderson does not get that pressure.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's either Jatavion Sanders, they put in a situation where I don't know if it was corner or linebacker, where he had to choose between Whittington going down the sideline or Jatavion Sanders on the flat. And it was a split-second decision, and it did look like on the replay he chose Whittington going deep. So it would have been an easy catch and reception, 5 to 7 yards, first down, and we would have continued to move the sticks. And at that point, that would have been big just because Alabama probably has to burn their last time out. We can run 2 more plays, probably get it down to they get the ball with 30 seconds left, and who knows at that point. So really good overall game for our guys. Steve Sarkisian called a hell of a game like we knew he would. Just all around, just impressive. Just it sucks that we didn't get the win because we were in the game. And it's one of those things where I know where we're 20-point underdogs and people are talking about you're going to lose by 40, 50 points, 30 points, whatever. But the thing is, when you're in the middle of the fray, you got to throw all that stuff out. Like, we were right there, guys. We should have won this game. We should have. It was so close. And it's so frustrating, we're so frustrated, but so happy at the same time as Texas fans.
Paxton says sprained shoulder from Sark.
That's gigantic news. That's probably 3 to 4 weeks, I would assume.
I would rest him the UTSA game, and
we play Tech after that.
Appreciate that, Davey. If you know, looking at the team stats for this game, in our favor. 20 we got 25 first downs. Alabama's 16. Uh, three of 12 on third down to Alabama's five out of 15. Total yards were 3 yards apart. They had 374. We had 371. Passing, we had 292, and they had 213. Rushing, they had the edge on us, 161 to 79. And we actually had the time of possession as well by a slight margin, about a minute. Pretty close. And so I don't have the defensive stats right here in front of me yet, but they did a good job of containing Bijan. I actually thought Roschon had some really good runs, tough, just tough runs.
Yeah, Bijan played really well in the second half.
Yeah, he did.
And he definitely was nicked up there too. You saw his holding his shoulder every once in a while. So hopefully he's okay. Roschon played well. Everyone played well, guys. That's what's so frustrating is the quarterback position after Quinn left just wasn't up to snuff. And actually Hudson Card, it played pretty well before he hurt his ankle. But after that, it was just lights out. There was nothing. He couldn't step into throws. Everything had to be perfect for him to do what was needed to run the offense, and it just wasn't after that. That's what was so impressive about Quinn. There could be pressure in his face. He just flicks his wrist, and it's neat where it needs to be. Whereas Hudson Card has very good arm strength, but it's just not what Quinn's is, and he needs to be able to step in throws. And once that ankle was gone, it was gone. And thank you, Dave E. I know that's I was surprised there aren't Bama fans. Oh, you're still going to lose anyways. No, I mean, we outplayed them, but it is what it is. You got the W, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I think the experience of Bryce Young, the experience of, certain players on Alabama's roster is why we come up short by 1 point. And, officiating aside, it came down to crunch time. Bryce Young led them down for the field goal. And I think a very good learning experience. Our team and the culture has changed so much in just a year that we're able to stand toe to the number one team in the nation. And we're able to say, $2,400, hold my beer and watch this.
Yeah, if number 6 or 9, it was Ryan Watts. The one thing about that too, his size played against him there because he couldn't get as low as Bryce Young can. So when you're 6'3" and the other guy's 6 foot, and I don't even know if Bryce Young is really 6 foot, you can't. And he aimed at the wrong place. You don't aim whenever you come in as a guy like that. Go as low as possible because at least if you go low, you can get your arms out there if he tries to juke you, and you'll trip him up, and that would have been very helpful there. Lord Raiden. The end of the game was predictable. Winner's going to win, loser's going to lose. Okay. First off, you can say what you want. We lost the game. Very true. But we were in the game the whole time. If Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt, we'll probably win the game. If the officiating literally doesn't take points off the board, there's a really good chance we win the game. But you can say what you want.
Yeah, he's a Hogs fan anyway.
That was a great game. Sorry, Texas fans, that you couldn't just quite screw the W. It was a great game. To be honest, after watching the first couple weeks, I thought Bama and Ohio State were head and shoulders above everyone else. And then also watching Georgia, they're kind of struggling right now. There may not be a solidified number one team. It may be one of those years where we have chaos, which would be really dope. But it is what it is. No, I agree. We weren't recently a winner, but it really had nothing to do with that. When you're playing with the backup quarterback who's also hurt, that played more of a factor than this winners are winners stuff. To be honest with you, if Texas was who we were the last couple of years, that last drive where we kick a field goal doesn't even happen.
No. If we were the past couple, let's put it this way, if we were the past 10 years, we're not in this game.
100%. As soon as Quinn Ewers got hurt, you would have saw the fight from the defense give out. You would have seen the fight from the other teammates give out. They didn't do that. They actually, defense, once Quinn Ewers got hurt, stepped up. They played even better than they did when he was in the game. So props to them on that until they kind of got tired at the end, and then Bryce Young did what he had to do, and he was amazing. He is the Heisman Trophy winner for a reason. The guy's one of the coolest, composed people I've ever seen. Whenever there's any big moment, any time to shine, anytime there's adversity, whether it's the game or actual players coming at him, he does very well. He's a very good player, very good quarterback. I think I would take him personally as the number one quarterback in the upcoming draft. He's very good.
Mhm. Actually, return trip.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Crazy things happen in these 11 o'clock games. Texas is used to playing at 11 o'clock due to the fact that the Red River rivalry is 11 o'clock every year kickoff, and that's just making us for a wildness. And uh, just we've seen another classic game. Uh, I think Tex 205. I think that we are ranked next week with a 1 point loss to the number one team in the nation. I think we're ranked.
I agree. I think we'll probably be ranked like 20, 21, something like that. And that I don't even care about that, guys. I want to be ranked at the end of the year. That's all that's going to matter to me. I could give two shits about whether we're ranked after losing to Alabama. As it's like a Texas fan, like this is why it's so hard, because before this game, we were very proud at like if we kept it within 10 points. Like if you could guarantee us that, would be like, wow, that's a hell of a game. But then once we got into the game and we realized, wow, we can hang with these guys. Like guys, after that first quarter when they weren't getting pressure and we were locking them up, like they could not pass the ball. Bryce Young couldn't find anyone open and they were locking up. I was like, wow, we have a shot. And then Quinn Ewers is hitting stuff down the field to their wide receivers with time to throw. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we really can win this football game. And then just as it's been the last 10 years, something happens crazy. We either shoot ourselves in the foot or something that out of our control. Quinn Ewers gets hurt, and then it all changes from there. So it's like we can't, even when things are going well, they don't go how we need them to go to win the game.
Right.
But 100%, it is a mentality thing. But I also think Texas showed the mentality, because if you put another minute on the clock, who says we don't go down there and kick a field goal? Like at the end of the day, it was more of there was no time for us to do anything with the 5 seconds and everything like that. There it is right here. The man himself, Mark Rogers, come in. Texas impressed, no doubt. Thank you, Mark. And guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel, helps out Mark, what he's building here. Go over to the channels list. Go like all their content as well, all the different teams' content. Like their videos, subscribe. D4, plug that Patreon real quick.
Oh, man, guys, if you're not involved in the Patreon for this channel, I would strongly encourage you to do so. We have a Discord that we get in there and talk college football 24/7 with guys like I'm in there. We got different fan bases. We have Alabama guys, we have Texas guys, we have USC guys, and everybody gets together and just talks purely football and just have a great time. We get into chats like this right here in a StreamYard, and we'll go in there and we'll watch games together, and get feedback from each other. We'll watch each other's teams. It's a big community, and if you're not a part of it, you're missing out.
It is 100% awesome time. You'll see these guys. What is it? The Night After Dark Talk, where you guys come on and talk, all the fans together. That's a really good time. You guys should go watch those videos, subscribe so you don't miss out on those videos. Like the video so this gets out. We want to grow this platform as big as possible. Thank you guys very much.
I would agree with that, Paxton. Alabama does have a lot to work on. I think we exposed a lot of their weaknesses with a great game plan by DK, Gary Patterson, and that staff. And I think our game plan was spot on. After we gave up that 81-yard touchdown run, defense put the clamps on. Bryce Young was very indecisive. He did not have time to throw. Even if he did make a good throw, he was getting smacked.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. I think Alabama is good. Are they the number one team? I think that's still to be decided now after watching this game. But they're still a top 5 team. There's no question about that. They're just not going to be explosive like they have been in the past. I think they're just basically last year's team minus Jamison Williams. But luckily for them, Georgia's kind of come back to the pack. Ohio State seems to have come back to the pack. I really think after watching these first 2 weeks or week and a half that there's no great team, guys. I think anyone can be beat any weekend. Arkansas, Lord Raiden, your guys are looking good. You guys played really well against South Carolina. I think they ended up winning that game. When I checked, it was 21-6. I don't know what the score ended up being.
It ended up being 44-30.
Yeah, they're a good team. So I think even the SEC is open. It's going to be very interesting to see Florida and Kentucky tonight. I would not shock me if Florida runs away with that. That's what I think is going to happen. And if Florida runs away with that game, Florida can now, with Anthony Richardson as a dual threat Heisman quarterback, possibly, you could see him elevate that Florida team enough to where they could beat Georgia. It's very the first couple weeks have done nothing but throw questions about all these big programs. It's going to be very interesting to see going forward. Keep those comments coming in, guys. It was a hell of a game. It's good to interact with you guys. I think it helps to talk through it, obviously. Not as angry as I was. I'm not really even angry. It's kind of just like what could have been. Whereas last year the Oklahoma game was very frustrating. I'm still angry about that game because we should have won that game. We blew that. And that's another thing I want to discuss, guys, because I don't know if you'll agree with this, D4, but this kind of has a lot of correlations going into that game. Like, Texas unproven, we don't know what we really have, and then we go in and we keep it close and we surprise people. And then this way's the Oklahoma game was the same way, kind of. And then we went forward and we blew a bunch of games because I think that Oklahoma game really gave our team like problems because we were so concentrated on losing it and we never actually moved on mentally from there. So that's why I'm very interested to see how this Texas team moves on mentally from this game. If they move on mentally and rip off 3 to 4 in a row, then Steve Sarkisian already has the culture change in under 2 years, which is mightily impressive. And the only thing at that point that is holding Texas back of winning big-time level football is getting a little bit better in certain areas, and just a little bit better, not a lot better, just a little bit.
I appreciate that. Easy for life. Those that believe in the team didn't really think we're going to get our doors blown off.
I thought, and we talked about this in the preview show, D4, if we held up against, if we held up on the offensive line, that we could be in this game. If Card can't go down, do we see Wright or Murphy next week? Or if Card can't go? Well, yeah, if he can't go, then we'd have to see Wright or Murphy. I would assume Wright. I mean, Malik Murphy never even had his helmet on his head, so it's really hard for me to see him playing. It'd be Charles Wright. And like I said, UTSA, if everyone else plays well on our team other than the quarterback position, we can still win that game by 2+, 3+ touchdowns. So I don't really care about that game. It's moving forward into and I do care, obviously, I want us to win, but I think moving forward, it matters way more as who the starting quarterback is as we get into conference play.
Hudson was always the man, and now he's able to prove it. I'm not with you there.
No,
I'm not with you. His wheels, his other comment, Hudson's wheels are an X factor quarterback. They're all fine and well, but when it comes to the passing aspect, and you're holding on to the ball, and you're taking sacks, that doesn't bode well in Sark's offense.
No. And yeah, that's the thing. He just, like I said, not decisive enough, has happy feet, doesn't know when he sees it. He's not confident in it, and he just takes too long. And the thing is now with his ankle being hurt, his wheels are become a non-factor. Like you saw him on that, even when he got that 20-yard run, he could barely walk, guys. Like he was basically that was all willpower. And then he couldn't step into throws. Like he has Xavier Worthy burned that guy on that double move. And if that ball is delivered out over his left shoulder, it's either a gigantic gain. If it's delivered out in front of him, it's a touchdown. So, and he couldn't step into it.
Yeah, he didn't have his base underneath him to be able to drive off that bad. I'm assuming ankle.
Yeah, it's an ankle for sure.
Yeah,
I don't see those.
He could not drive off of that. Being a right-handed quarterback, he could not, drive off of it.
No, he couldn't at all. Easy for life. 100%. Bama's DBs got cooked the whole game, and they got bailed out a couple times.
I did a preview myself for it, and that's one of the things we talked about in there was the fluctuation. They didn't have two starters nailed down. It was a Kool-Aid McKinstry and they kept mix matching, and I don't even really ever. It may be because I wasn't paying attention to
Eli Ricks.
I didn't see Eli Ricks.
I didn't see him at all. Yeah, I didn't see him at all either. So that means he was either doing a hell of a job on his side of the field or he wasn't playing.
Yeah. So Kool-Aid McKinstry does not.
No,
he does not turn his head around, and he's a PI machine.
Yeah, that one on the end zone. There was another one in the end zone. Was that versus Worthy, where he literally didn't turn his head around at all and had his hands on him? It should have been pass interference. Like that's literally textbook on a video of what you show officials of what pass interference looks like. Doesn't get head around, doesn't locate the ball, and has your hands on the wide receiver. That's a pass interference every time. It's insane how many of those they missed, and it's one of those things where if you want to call it like that, then call it like that the whole game. They didn't do that though. They were just missing calls.
Yeah, very, very, very inconsistent officiating, missed calls. I mean, you can't just, the missed face mask. But, at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it now. I was very, very, very pissed off when the game ended, and the things that had happened. But now that I'm, able to settle down a little bit and gather my thoughts about it, we did everything possible to win this game, and it just wasn't in the cards to this time. And I agree, we could go undefeated the rest of the season, but these next few games will be the UT game to beat them the way we're supposed to beat them. When we get to who's the next, Texas Tech, and West Virginia, we have to beat those teams that we're supposed to beat how we're supposed to beat them.
100%. And that's been the issue. Like we said, guys, in the Tom Herman era, it was never the question of whether we'd get up for a big game. It was always the question whether we would play to that level every game. And that's why Alabama, Georgia, those teams like that, they don't play to their competition. They play to the standard that is set week in, week out, day in, day out, play in, play out. And that is what Texas has lacked for years under this program. So again, what D4 said, we have to come out in that same will and strength that we showed in this game. We have to do that versus UTSA and moving forward. We have the talent to win out the schedule, guys. The Big 12 is down. Our team is coming from this game, our team is more talented than we originally thought. If our offensive line is going to hold up that well versus Will Anderson and those guys, our offensive line, other than one or two teams in the Big 12, will be able to hold up just as well. And NIL transfer portal, 100% on that. What were you going to say, D4?
Oh no, I was going to elaborate on that too, and it's like we mentioned earlier, what a recruiting win this is for us. We all know we have the NIL money.
Yeah,
we got the money. Now these players that sit there and watched us go toe to toe with Alabama, the ones that maybe been on the fence. Malik Muhammad, he's down to Texas and Alabama. And I think he sees Texas can stand toe-to-toe with Alabama. Maybe my choice was correct. Guys like that just reassuring that Texas is on the come up.
100%. And NIL helps. Like you said, the transfer portal helps because it redistributes the talent and also helps out the NIL teams. I also think expanding the college football playoff, I know there's some downsides to it, but the positive thing is I really do believe that will help spread out the talent because now you don't have 4 teams that you can pitch going to the playoffs. You're going to have 12. So that's very interesting as well. And if the talent gets spread out and it becomes more even across the playing field, it's going to be very interesting, guys. I think there's a lot of teams that can come step up, and there's a lot of teams that will take a little bit step down. And I think Texas can be one of those teams that steps up. We'll have to see, though. Oh, 100% Surfer Boy. UTSA will be tough. They are well coached. And it's Jeff Traylor's fantastic coach. But the thing is, there should be no excuse. We're way more talented. Our offensive line's better than recently thought. Our defensive line is actually, they're not going to get a lot of pressure, I don't think, but they're pretty stingy at the point of attack. And that's what we asked for. The pass rush still isn't where it needs to be. Gotten better. Overall, very happy with the defense, very happy with the defensive game plan, very happy with everything. It's about playing to the standard because, again, these same guys could come out here and play with no emotion and no fire in their stomachs versus UTSA, and we could squeak out and win by 10 points. But it's like, why? That's the key here is we need to play with that same energy. Best defensive performance in how many years? To be honest, since that 2018 Georgia Sugar Bowl?
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, I say that's the most notable. That game was a lot apart than the score indicated. I know it was 28-21, but we handed it to them that game.
Yeah, what was it, 21-7, or we might have even been 28-7 at one point.
Yeah.
And we were pushing them around. So, yeah, that was probably the game that comes to mind. Other than that, it's been a long time, guys. I mean, I can't think of another game that comes to mind in the Tom Herman era or the Charlie Strong era, that's for sure, because we never really stepped up defensively. And like, I agree with you, Paxton. Very impressed. It's about going forward now. And I really want to see Steven Sarkisian echo that point. And I think he will. It's like, we can't be proud of what you accomplished, take away the positives, talk about the negatives, and move forward and rally the troops and reminder that we still have 10 games to play and that our goals are still in front of us. Like nothing happened here, guys. Like people have said, if we win out, guess what? You get another shot at them. If we don't win out, you can still win the Big 12 championship. That's the ultimate goal here, is the Big 12 championship. And I think we actually have a shot at it.
See, this is where I'm going to disagree partly with you there, Surfer Boy 3000. And that Sugar Bowl was against half of the actual dog squad, since a lot of them opted out. But I digress. If you're going to play in a bowl game and you're a team like Georgia that are pulling in 5-star after 5-star after 5-star, there's guys sitting behind them. We've seen they come out against Oregon this year. They lost 15-player draft. The teams like Georgia, teams like Alabama, what we're building to, you don't rebuild, you reload, and they have 5-star players sitting behind 5-star players. So if they weren't ready to play, that's on them. We handled business.
And if you go back and watch the game, it wasn't like there was like mental errors by Georgia. It was they were physically getting manhandled at the point of attack. I mean, I don't know really what else to say about that. And I'm trying to think, because we had some big time missing players in that game as well. I don't think the little Jordan Humphrey, yeah, he did play there, but there was other players that did not play. And the thing is, like you said, the depth of Georgia, you should be able to still beat us with those guys out.
Especially what we've been in the past 10 years. Texas wins out and makes the playoff, and my dogs look forward to stomping a mud hole in the horns. Hold on, sorry. Trust me, we are a way better team than Bama. Trust me, guys. Ask Oregon. Listen, I personally think, I know Matthew said earlier his beliefs that, there's not a clear-cut number one. I do put Georgia at number one, and I think it's clear-cut. I think it's them, a slight, just a hair drop, Alabama and Ohio State, and then everybody.
And then the rest. Yeah, I would agree with that. And the thing is, I haven't seen enough from Georgia. I don't think Oregon's that good, to be honest with you. I think if that was USC or Utah, I'd been way more impressed. Oregon has a first-year head coach. You have Bo Nix at quarterback, and he had time to throw. Like, it wasn't that you weren't just over manhandling your offensive line. He had time to throw, and he just didn't play well.
We don't know. Can't predicate an entire season off of one game.
One game, yeah, 100%.
And that Notre Dame defense is pretty legit.
Bama should have never been number one. Guys, that's the Saban effect. I mean, I guess, but Georgia did lose a lot on defense, and you still have Stetson Bennett, who played very well last week as your starting quarterback. So I kind of disagree with that. I will say, like I said, Bama's wide receivers are not as good as they used to be. Their defense, their cornerbacks are not as good as they used to be. They're still very good in the trenches. Like, their defensive line's very good, and their offensive line's good. It's not great. And you have Bryce Young, who I think probably is the best player in college football. So, I mean, unless this team just totally gets it just gets destroyed physically and a lot of injuries happen, they're always going to be in games because of him. Like, he's so cool, guys. Like, there's very few people that would have been able to do what he did to Ryan Watts, where he's able to dive or duck underneath of him and then run for 20 yards. And you never see him get too high or low.
What a perfect play call by PK in that situation. Yeah. I mean, if Ryan Watts would have, been able to make that tackle, we could have been singing a whole different story right now. But just showing that we made the adjustments and kept up with the adjustments, not from half to half, but from series to series, that he was able to make that play call. And like I said, Ryan Watts is able to wrap him up. Could be singing a whole different tune right now.
Yeah, was that a second or third down?
That was third down.
It was?
Yes. And he escaped and got the first down.
That would have been a 4th and 19, something like that.
Yeah, we are. That's exactly what I said earlier, Surfer Boy. I said Georgia does the same thing as Alabama. You guys reload. You have 5 stars set after 5 stars, and I mean, hats off to Georgia. I have them as my number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, I would probably put them at number 1 for right now. I still want to see them versus like a better just overall team. I don't think, like I said, I don't think Oregon will be ranked by the end of the year. I think, and if they are, they'll be like 25th. So we'll see what happens. And the 25th best team compared to what is probably the 1st or 2nd best team, that's a gigantic drop off.
Seriously, kudos to you guys, because I just knew Bama was going to pound y'all. Listen, the entire country, except for Texas fans, thought that they were going to do the same thing. Okay, we thought that we were going to do a lot better than everybody else thought we'd do. People love to hate Texas. They love it.
Yeah, I thought the spread, like, going into the game, like, originally, I think it was 14.5. I understood that. When it got to 20, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I didn't think they were going to beat us by 3 touchdowns. I always thought 14-17 was, like, the mark for them to beat us. And we played, and that was because I didn't think offensively we would have to do things that would hamper some of the looks we were going to give them, because we were going to have to protect our quarterback at all costs. But that didn't end up happening. We would chip and we'd be fine. There were plays where we didn't chip and we were fine. And even when they got there, Quinn Ewers was like good enough to where he didn't really give a shit if they got pressure in his face.
And you could tell the frustration with Will Anderson by all the dumb mistakes he made.
Yeah.
Like the hit on Jatavion Sanders was the absolute. I mean, you talking about, I think Will Anderson is the best player in the entire country. But for him to do that at that moment, just the dumbest thing I've seen this weekend.
Okay, this is too much, Johnny Bays. You've hit enough. Put down the bottle and get off. No, I'm kidding. Don't get off, but put down the bottle. None of that in here. We should not be ranked. I don't care if I think we outplayed them if we're the better team. They beat us, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. But yeah, that is crazy that's their first regular season win. And the only 2 wins they have against us, guys, are when our starting quarterback gets hurt. That's the only 2 wins they got.
Man, what is it with us and quarterbacks and Bama, man?
I know. When's the next time we play them?
Next year.
Do we really? I didn't think it was back-to-back. I thought it was split up, but okay, yeah. Hey.
I don't want to misquote, but all right, non-conference schedule. Yep, it is next. It's 2023.
I mean, I'm not shocked by that. It's just, and the thing is, Bryce Young probably won't be there. I'm trying to think who the starting quarterback will be. I mean, I really like that going into next year. I think we got a real good shot at beating them there.
If Ohio State is overrated, what is Alabama last season? I never said I said you couldn't predicate a season over 1 game, and I think that Notre Dame defense was legit. And I don't think and Jackson Smith and Jigba goes down in I believe the first quarter, and that changes up your game plan. But I don't think you can call Ohio State overrated for over 1 game.
No, 100%. I think, if anything, what I took out of that game was Notre Dame's defense is very good, but their offense is terrible, and I think Ohio State's defense is not as good as they showed in that game. That's the thing I would take away from it. But then again, like, people, like, who's Ohio State going to go up in the Big Ten and where you're going to be like, oh, that's an explosive offense? Like, Michigan State's not explosive. I've watched Peyton Thornton. Peyton Thornton is not good. They're not that good. But what was I going to say? Michigan, they play Michigan, and if J.J. McCarthy's the starter at that point, I think that's really impressive. I think they have a real shot at beating Ohio State. But those are the only 2 schools I can think of that have a legitimate explosive offense in the Big Ten.
Really? Marshall about to score again? I'm not watching the game right now,
No,
so
I'm not.
I'm not really watching scores either, so I couldn't really tell you what's going on.
Axton, what is the score of the Houston and Tech game? If you're watching, I'm interested in that. There are a couple games I'm interested in. BYU Baylor should be a very interesting and good game tonight. You know, people were hyping up BYU making the playoff. If they win tonight's game, they got a shot, man, because I think some of these other teams are going to lose 1 or 2 games, and I think there's a real good shot that they sneak in that playoff as the 4th team, maybe even 3rd team.
I ain't got no love for my Big 12 counterparts, so I could care less who wins that game.
Oh, I could care less either, but I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and for it to be at the time slot it is, you know, that's a good time slot. Like nobody else is playing at that time, so nobody else good. But
yeah, the Mormons are gonna have to stay up late for that one. And guys, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button as well. We got 24 of you guys in here right now. We've had multiple other people come in and leave and then come back. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Go over to all the other channels, like their content, subscribe. Go over to D4's channel, like his content, subscribe. It really helps out. Thank you guys. Again, I don't want to say really good because, again, D4 and I have seen this throughout the years, guys, of Texas getting up for big games and then not playing that way the rest of the year. I'm going to pound this into the ground until everyone can hear it, everyone knows what we need. When Texas is officially, quote-unquote, back, we will play to a standard and level of the University of Texas. That's what we will do week in and week out, and we will consistently win 10 games. That's how you know we'll be back. But we are definitely building in that direction. We have a good team. We have a good foundation. Our offensive line is going to be very good going forward. I'm very confident saying that. Kelvin Banks played really well. I don't really think of a play where we just got absolutely manhandled other than that last play by Will Anderson. Not even that. That was more of a breakdown than anything. So really good game plan. Proud of everyone. There's a little things we need to do better, as we need a consistent pressure, and also we need to hit the deep ball when it's there. That even got better from this last week to this week. The deep ball was there multiple times. We just dropped it.
Yeah, like I said, I hope viewers is able to, you know, sit for the UTSA game. From what ESPN said, it was a clavicle sprain.
What the hell does that even mean?
That's exactly. I got the notification and it said clavicle.
I don't think you can sprain a bone. So I'm
just reading off what.
Oh no, I know, but I think they messed that one up because you cannot sprain a bone. Maybe I'm wrong. OSU struggles with Notre Dame and OSU isn't good. Bama struggles with Texas and the story of how they overcome adversity. I understand Notre Dame is losing to Marshall, but I don't think, again, we're not saying Ohio State isn't good. I think they're good. I personally think this is the only thing T4 and I differ on, that there is no great team this year. After a week and a half, I'm pretty confident saying that. That doesn't mean the team can get better and become great, but to this point, there's no great team, and I think it's wide open up to this point. D4 thinks Georgia is the cream of the crop up to this point. That's all we've really said. I think Ohio State's still going to run the table. I will bet you money, you guys, if you guys beat us, you're not going to beat us by more than the touchdown.
Germ Little, it's 4:51 p.m. and OU still sucks. Go somewhere else.
When you guys lose to Nebraska next week, I dare you to come back. That true. At least we have the balls to schedule Alabama. We do. Our schedule going forward is going to be very tough. We do have the balls. I'm glad that we do. It is one of those things. If Steve Sarkisian can coach to the point of, look what you guys did with the best team in college football. If you come consistently with that energy, that execution, we can beat anyone on our schedule. And if he coaches to that and those players listen to that, guys, we could be talking about a very special season, not just it wouldn't be a building block season anymore. It would be more than that. And if we're a year ahead of schedule, that says a lot about where this program could head.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not going to. I'm just saying it's a possibility. If we play like this every single week, the Big 12 will be ours.
100%. There's no discussion about that. If we play to this standard every single week, we will beat every team in the Big 12. There's no doubt in my mind about that. The issue is, will we? And that's a gigantic question and issue that we haven't had answered in over a decade.
For
Is
sure.
Kiffin the next ex-Sabanite to beat old St. Nick? Possibly. It wouldn't shock me. He's going to do a lot of the same things that Steve Sarkisian can do. The question is, do you believe Jackson Dart can do some of the same things Quinn Ewers did? That's the question. Texas is building for Arch Manning. 100%. It's going to be very interesting to see the type of numbers Quinn Ewers puts up next year behind this offensive line, because it's going to be very good. And I'm trying to think who is leaving off the offensive line. Majors will be back, correct, D4? He still has another year of eligibility. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. That's another guy right there that held his own against 2 or 3 big nose tackles.
Yeah.
He answered a lot of questions today too.
Yep. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Christian Jones has played well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I think this is his last year of eligibility, so that'd be the one guy we replace going forward. But, I mean, we got 5 to 6 guys to choose from to fill his place. And if you have 4 guys returning on already what looks like to be pretty good offensive line, then we're heading in the right direction. I knew that was going to come.
It's all good. It's all good.
It is all good. I'm not, like I said, I'm not angry. That was a hell of a game. I was angry at aspects of the game. I'm always going to be angry at stuff where the team can't control it, and when the team can't control what the officials do. And it really frustrating when they impact. I don't know if they impacted the outcome, but they impacted the scoreboard multiple times in this game. And that was frustrating. And there's nothing that we can do to hold them accountable, guys, other than talk about it, tweet about it, tell people, everyone you need to hear. Like, these guys are terrible. Like, I've seen this crew before, and they're not good. The thing is, what's so frustrating is next week they're going to be somewhere else, reffing, getting paid, and no one's going to bring it up, and it's just frustrating. And I think announcers really need to call it out. Joel Klatt did call it out a little bit, but I'm waiting for an announcer to actually go in when an officiating crew is terrible. For example, you can't take 30 seconds after every flag and have a conference and not know what the flag is. That should never happen. That should not happen. You get one of those a game. They were doing it consistently. It was bad.
Don't worry about that popping in the back room right there. I'm going to put a link in the private chat.
Okay. Our line is good. We just need to get stronger. We didn't get much push in our run game. I would agree. The run game wasn't great. It was good, but not great. And we'll put the score up here as well, because just to remind you guys, 2019 was the final score. Just wait until you join the SEC where all the officials live in Alabama. Yeah. Well, maybe I feel bad for them then. If they have to live in Alabama, then I understand their lives. And you know what? If they want to be miserable and call shitty penalties, then it's on them. I get it. If I had to live in Alabama, I would do the same thing. Joel wants to say it so bad. He did at points bring it up. And, I mean, there was just some obvious ones, guys. Like, I don't understand. Face mask should never be missed. You can tell by the way a guy falls, his neck turns. Yeah, exactly. Like, that should never be missed. As soon as you see that, the flag should come out. And most officials do that. And actually, you've seen plays where a guy does that and he doesn't really even have his face mask. So, and they still call it. But I would rather that happen than you just have to be 100% sure. Because if you have to be 100% sure, there's some where you can't 100% see because you're at the wrong angle, but you do see the neck turn, so you might as well throw it. And that and the pass interference when it's obvious, like I said, the one in the end zone on Kool-Aid McKinstry where he's holding and he doesn't turn, you got to call that, man. You have to call that. That is the one thing, John Delane, that we got to keep going. Obviously, that's 3 years ago. That's a different coach, different quarterback, different system. It's all different. So we just got to continue to move forward, keep proving it. And 100%, we all feel the same way. This has to be a building block of a game to get us where we need to go and not a high point of our season. This cannot be a high point of our season where we look back and it's like, oh, we're 7-5, but we only lost to Bama by 1. That we can't do that.
We have to prove it. We're still on proving ourselves. It's hanging close with Bama. That ain't the end goal at all. The end goal is Big 12 championship.
Is that your?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. This is Brandon's YouTube channel. I just put it in the link. Please go over there, subscribe to his channel. It helps him out. Thank you guys very much.
I definitely appreciate that. I cover a whole bunch of teams, all college football. I have shows over there as well. I enjoy what I do here on Mark Rogers' channel, but if you guys will give me a shot and go over there and subscribe, and hope you enjoy the content.
100%. And rough game. Like I said, we took the L, but overall, just as it goes further and further of the game, I think I'll be more appreciative of how we fought in this game. But it's just so hard right now, especially with Quinn being out. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, I think that's the number one thing on my mind right now is how long is he going to be out? That's another factor we have to look out. But again, we play UTSA next week. I don't really care who the quarterback is if everyone plays close to that standard that we played today, then we should win that game by 2+ touchdowns at least.
Didn't Sam Ellinger have a similar injury? I can't remember.
I think his was the AC joint.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know how long he was out for either. I'm trying to think. Was he back the next week, or did he take a game off?
Didn't Michelle come in?
Yeah, for that game. That was the Baylor game a couple years ago. And then I'm trying to think if there was another. I don't think Bouchel started a game, though. So I think Ellinger was back the next week. But there's no point of throwing Quinn out there with this injury against UTSA. There really isn't. There should be no excuse versus UTSA who the quarterback is. Like, that should have very little to do with how we do going forward.
Any more updates? Yeah, and how about Daniel Trejo, a punter, man, averaging 46.4 yards per punt.
Yeah, he was really like iffy after the first one or two, but after that he was very good. I mean, pin that one punt inside their own one. Other ones, I mean, he was very good. Special teams overall was very good. We just need to get that snap down. The snapping is the biggest issue on field goal kicks. But if it gets down, Bert Auburn, I trust him. I really did. Like, I was worried about when he was kicking it, was the snap going to be good and was the hole going to be good? If that was good, I trust him to make it. He's got a good leg. He's a good kicker, but I just don't trust the process of the actual kick yet.
John Delane, I'm convinced you're just trying to troll for a reaction now.
Yeah, 100%.
If you take a quarterback that's already thrown the ball and absolutely drive them into the dirt, that is a roughing the passer penalty, 10 out of 10.
100%. And he could have easily, people saying, well, what do you want him to do? Dude, you're in the air. You can literally roll over while you're in the air to where you land on the ground and he doesn't. Or you could just, like most people in that situation, when he was in the air, would have just given a big shove. Every time I've seen a quarterback jump throw and then a situation like that, they just shove him. I've never seen anyone tackle like that. But it is what it is, obviously. I'm just glad it's not a broken collarbone because that's, with surgery, that's like an 8-week injury. And basically at that point, I wouldn't even play him the rest of the year because it's just like a Tony Romo type situation where you saw him try to come back a little early, come back and then re-break it. It's one of those things where it's very easy to re-break. So that was, I would not want him back in the game for that. Yeah, he's trolling.
Yeah, you're trolling because burnt orange is beautiful.
It is beautiful. That was the only call they made that was right. Yeah, basically. I mean, it's amazing how these guys can get paid thousands of dollars to ref a football game and then be so bad at it. 100% really good punts after he settled in. Just got to get the process down on kicks, and special teams will be A1. This would have never happened under any other coaching staff of where when they were kicking that field goal, I realistically thought we had a chance to block it. I really thought there was going to be a chance of that. The special teams have been phenomenal. And Xavier Worthy's been very good back there as a punt returner. Other than what was I gonna say? Other than Xavier Worthy and Jordan Whittington, did anyone else really stand out catching the ball? I mean, Jatavian Sanders had a couple, but there was really no. I mean, Casey Kane had one.
Yeah, it was mainly the Worthy and Whittington show. I mean, Bijan had 3 for 73.
Yeah. What did he have overall like yards? What do you have rushing like 60s?
21 for 57.
Oh, okay. So again, over 100 yards total. He's had over 100 yards
Yeah.
total in back-to-back games. I wish we would have got him more involved in the passing game, to be honest. But that's really the only like thing I can think of on offense that I wish we would have done more.
And another play that was working very well is when we sent Worthy in motion and hit that little bubble screen right there. That worked well all day. UT kicker's hair was awful. Yeah, something about the hair in Austin, Texas. Like I will give you that. There's something about the hair in Austin, Texas.
Dude was out there looking like Carrot Top's cousin. That's pretty good. The hair is awesome though. The hair was. I mean, it's got that beautiful flow, just the long, luscious locks flowing down. Yeah, that's one thing I'm kind of surprised by. No Savion Red or Brennan Thompson. It would not shock me if you see them like thrown in the UTSA game, because that's where you want to play your younger guys in games where you think you have like an overall edge basically everywhere. I don't think there will be maybe the quarterback position, but I haven't seen UTSA's quarterback. But if Hudson Card's going, especially on a bum ankle, that might be the only position UTSA has over us.
Yeah, I agree. UTSA is going to come in with a lot of heart. That team is not going to roll over for anybody.
No.
You've seen how they played Houston. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen scores or anything. I was coaching my son's game before our game, and I didn't get to see anything in between. Just our game. Oh, you can ask LW. If Auburn would have had the final points to win, I would have quit YouTube. If that would have been the game winning kick, I've been giving LW crap all week long, saying it's going to come down to a field goal, and Burt Auburn is going to beat Alabama.
That'd been funny if there are only 2 losses this year. If they lost to Auburn and then Auburn, so you lost to this guy and this team, the exact same.
Yeah. See, I was almost a prophet.
And I'm one of those people. I don't know if you're like this, D4. As it comes closer to game time, like if you could have me predict games like 5 minutes before they happen, I would be very good. But it's like as soon as I get up to game time, I can tell you what's going to happen for the most part. But before then, I'm kind of clueless.
Yeah, before then, you're overthinking yourself.
Yeah,
every which way.
When I saw like the vibe, and then I saw Quinn Ewers warming up and everything, I was like, we're going to be in this game. I don't know if we're going to win it, but we're going to be in it. I was never. And then after the first drive, I'm like, we're going to be in this game. Like, if a team's pushing you around early, then that obviously doesn't bode well. There was no point in this game, even in the fourth quarter, where I was like, wow, Alabama's just lining up and overmatching us. They never did that.
No, they I hope all those I hope all those Alabama fans that were out here screaming on YouTube that Texas was going to get a Texas-sized ass whooping, eat your crow.
I'm not saying that field goal at the end of the second quarter was a bad decision, but like LSU last week, I thought an team like that should go for it. I actually did want to go for that. For 2 reasons. Again, the process of the holding and kicking, I was afraid of. Obviously, in the situation like the end of the game, I had no issue with that. It was 4th and forever. You got to try it there. But you're playing with house money at home versus a team that you consider that they're better than you. So I 100% believe we should have gone for it there. And that's another thing, too. If we don't mess up that, we're up by even more, and they have to go score a touchdown at the end. So it's like there's so many things, guys. We're so close, and this is the closest I think we've been to where we need to be in a very long time. But we got to consistently do this, and eventually we will break through.
I agree.
And Paxton, I 100% agree. It's been like a long time since I have really nothing to complain about. There really isn't. Like I have no complaints with the O-line, the D-line, the secondary, the linebackers. The linebackers played very well today. Jalen Ford was very good. DeMarvion was okay, not great, but he was good enough. And then just our cornerbacks played well. Our wide receivers played very well. Our tight end, Jadavian Sanders, played well. our running backs played well, and when our quarterbacks were healthy, they were playing well. So it's really just these little mental errors in some instances, and also young mistakes in some instances, and then also the refs. You have to talk about them because they did make a difference.
John Delane says, "I'll eat my crow. You eat that L." Deal. We took the L.
Yeah. This again doesn't have any effect on our season. Thank you, LW. 100%. You guys got the W at the end of the day. That's the point too, where you're at the top of your profession or a team sport, is when you don't come with your best stuff, but because of your winning ways and your winning culture, you end up on the right side of most of the time. Like, because that's what Alabama does. You'll see them play their C+ game and get W's because they just have that winning culture. And I think that's what it did end up coming down to that today. Bryce Young was just cooler than everyone else on that field. And I think Quinn Ewers resembles a lot of those qualities. And I think that's why Sark likes him. I mean, you saw it, guys. He was getting hit early on, but still delivering strikes down the field. Especially just, he's got so much talent. He's so rawly talented. It's insane. And I think personally, CJ Stroud might be a better quarterback than him at Ohio State, but I see a lot of games, because I watch a lot of Ohio State, being from Ohio, to where he doesn't have that composure. You see him get rattled in a lot of games, but he does have talent. But I think in the long run, Quinn Ewers probably would have been the better choice for Ohio State going forward than CJ Stroud. And I'll put that out there now. Be ahead of the curve. Funny. We beat UTSA 45-24. That's what the score going to be. I'm throwing that out there right now.
We ain't giving up 24.
We may not give up 24. Yeah. That's the thing, man. Like, if this defense plays this well, oh man, the sky's the limit. It really is. It really is. I'm interested in how Texas Tech looks like. All those guys. West Virginia, if they had an offensive line, would scare me, because JT, and talk about that guy, does the same thing like a really good quarterback will do. He's very composed. Like, he was getting destroyed in that Pitt game and delivering dimes. So he does scare me. But the thing is, I think eventually we're just going to destroy his will, because he's going to be getting hit so much.
Whoa, stretch it, pig. Whoa, back up here. Back up. Back. Take a few steps back.
Hey, I don't say 100%. I do think you will see down the line that he is better than Stroud. And I think they made the right call for last year's team, because I think if you put Ewers in on that team, you're going to struggle early on just because he's a young quarterback. But going forward, like, if you put him on this year's team, I don't think there's much of a drop-off, if any. And then next year's team, obviously, Stroud won't even be there. So I think, really, they kind of chose last year over their next 2 to 3 years, because I think Ewers is better than anyone else they have, for sure. Do you like to go rewatch the games? I don't like doing that, to be honest with you, especially games like this, because it just pisses. I have to relive it, and I don't really want to relive that. I mean, guys, if I had a camera on myself during these missed calls, my parents were watching the game with me, I would have killed somebody. Like, I was so angry, guys. I get so fired up when I watch any of my teams play. I'd say Texas, number one, is like the most fired up I get. And then I'm also a Yankees fan. I know you make fun of me for that, blah, blah, blah. But for Yankees baseball in October, playoff baseball, I wake people up. Like, I was in a college dorm screaming when they were playing, and it was good times for me, not for everyone else, but good times for me.
Yeah, I don't like my kids to be around when I'm watching the game.
Ewers is smarter than Stroud. I mean, I'm not going to go that far. I think Ewers is more accurate than Stroud, and I think he stands in adversity better than Stroud. Like, I should say pressure, not adversity. He stands in the face of pressure better than Stroud, but those are like the two main things. And that's why I'm saying I like that type of stuff in quarterbacks, because not everything's going to be called properly. Not everything's going to be running properly. Like Bryce Young, even when everything breaks down, you can still rely on him. And that's the number one trait, in my opinion, that I would want in a quarterback. When everything doesn't go to the script as usual, you can manage the game just as good if it was going as usual. I'm sure if you were Cowboys fans, many F-bombs would be dropped. Oh, I'm not. I'm a Broncos fan. And the number of F-bombs I used during this game, if we're talking swear jar where I'm putting $1 in, there's a couple $100 in a swear jar. I lost my ever-living mind on that non-safety call. I don't even understand what they saw. Targeting, he never got hit in the head. No one even touched his head. No one even threw him to the ground hard. Like, what are you doing? What are you calling there? So does Ewers just get his job back later in the season if Huddy is balling, or is Card's UT version of Stetson Bennett? Hudson Card will not ball. No offense to him. I would love that, but it's just not going to happen. We have seen enough, guys. It takes we've seen 6 to 7 games where it's literally the same thing. He's gotten better with the footwork, but the decisiveness of his throws are still not there. When he there's very few throws you will see Quinn Ewers Hudson Card's step into and throw confidently. He just doesn't do it.
Thank you, LW, for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bama's O-line deserves $1.99 NIL money this week. Oh.
To be honest, yeah, I don't think Alabama's line is obviously it's not great, but it's not terrible. It's an average offensive line.
They're in for a long week at practice.
Yeah. Nick Saban may kill somebody. Apparently, it was a forward pass. Even if it was a forward pass, it's intentional grounding. There was no one there. It was in the end zone. He didn't get the ball past the line of scrimmage. Like, you can say whatever you want.
We were praying JT would get his job back last season. Listen, hey, props to Stetson Bennett. The dude can outmove defenders and dodge blades of grass at the same time.
Yeah. And the thing is, JT Daniels is a good quarterback, and I 100% think Kirby made the wrong decision, but Stetson Bennett's playing well up to this point. And it's only 2 games in, but he's still playing well, and he played well enough in the championship game. So I mean, you can't really say like he made the complete wrong decision when you were a national champion. So this is yeah. I mean, that could happen. D4, if you want to touch on that.
It very well could, and we would have to go with Charles Wright. And honestly, against UTSA, if that were to be the case, go back to last year's Kansas State game where Roschon ran the Wildcat, and we dominated Kansas State.
So why can Card the same thing? I'm confused by that. Oh, why can't Card do the same thing? Because Stetson Bennett is actually very decisive when he throws the football. When he throws the football, he decides, this is where I'm throwing it. I'm giving it everything. You don't see that with Hudson Card, guys. We've seen enough to where something may be open, but he'll question himself. Like, there's this internal questioning, and I don't know if it's a confidence thing or it could be he's only played quarterback for, 2.5 years now, basically? 3 years? Like, he was a high school wide receiver, so that could be part of it too. But the thing is, if you're not going to get better at that under Steve Sarkisian, there's probably nowhere else you're going to get better at it. That's just going to be who you are.
I believe Card played his junior and senior year at quarterback in high school, but he was a receiver freshman, sophomore.
Yeah. So what is that? 4 years, 4.5 years? Yeah. It's not that long.
When Quinn has been doing this since he was probably 5 years old.
Yeah. Just in how they look in their helmet, Robinson reminds me of Dobbins. He's a better J.K. Dobbins. I would agree with that. Like, if Bijan Robinson would get the blocking, that's the one thing they didn't really do is the run game wasn't great, like blocking-wise. Surprisingly, the pass game was, even though I think that's harder to pick up, usually is for most guys. But if we had a great run-blocking offensive line, he'd average 8 to 10 yards a carry. Do you? Because I don't. Listen, Surfer Boy, I hope you're right. I hope Hudson Card comes out and plays like a Hall of Fame quarterback the rest of the season.
I've just seen enough, man.
Yeah.
Just seen enough.
And to be honest, Hudson Card behind this offensive line and these wide receivers and this team in general, I think he can beat West Virginia, Texas Tech, and UTSA if need be. But after that's about the only teams, and Iowa State, but that's later in the season. Quinn should be back by then. Those are like the only teams I could see him beating, basically, in the Big 12, other than Kansas and Iowa State. There's like those teams, but we need Quinn Ewers for Oklahoma. We need Quinn Ewers for Oklahoma State. We need Quinn Ewers for Baylor. We need Quinn Ewers for Kansas State. All those teams we need him for.
Yeah, Bijan did slip a few times.
He did, yeah. I just hope he's okay because, again, he kept grabbing his shoulder after that one play, and we don't need that. Like, Roschon played well today, and that's really all we saw from the running back room. Keelan got a couple carries, but we don't need Bijan to be hurt. If he's nicked up in any way, sit him out versus UTSA. I don't care if he's undefeated. Unless he goes into Oklahoma and won that game, then I would put some respect on his name. But he's literally playing a team under Joey McGuire, who it's his first year. You're playing UTSA, who's a good team, but still with the talent we have, we should beat them. And then he's playing West Virginia, who has legitimately no offensive line. And I expect JT Daniels to be hurt at some point this year. And they don't even have that great of weapons. They have one guy on the outside in Bryce Wheaton, who's good. And that's about it. And their defense is mid. So if Hudson Card can step in, he could play his B- game, C+ game. And with the weapons he has around him, I think we can still win those games.
Heck, West Virginia may join the lose to Kansas club tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. Their offensive line is legitimately atrocious. Like, it's so bad. And I feel JT Daniels is a gamer, man. That Pitt game really impressed me. If he definitely should get drafted this year. I don't know where, but I would draft him.
Yeah, thank you, LW. When was the last time Alabama went 3 and out 5 times in a row? Credit to Texas. It's coming from an Alabama fan too. So
I would probably say Auburn last year because that was kind of a struggle fest too.
I don't even think they went 3 and out 5 times in a row then.
They may not have, but that's what this game kind of reminded me of. It was very, very much a struggle bus, and I think this is going to happen because Bama's just not explosive on the outside. Jahmyr Gibbs is very explosive, but what are you going to do? Hand him the ball and throw it to him 30 times total in a game? You can't do that. He'll be injured.
And you know what? What's really eerie about that is they used the same receiver on the touchdown that in the Auburn game and the Texas game too, Ja'Cory
Brooks. It was kind of a carbon copy of what everything happened.
I was telling LW this week, I think I was telling him last night, that if Texas comes out and executes like LSU, Auburn, and Georgia did in the national championship, press on those receivers, stop the run game, and force Bryce to do it, then he would be in for a long day.
Yeah, they just don't have the explosive guys. I mean, think about this, guys. This team, Alabama team at one point, not in the distant past, not so in the distant past, or they had Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, and Jerry Jeudy. You're telling me Jerry Jeudy was the least explosive guys out of your 3 wide receivers? They have no one even close to Jerry Jeudy's level of explosiveness on this team. Like, it's crazy how much talent they had at wide receiver, and they just don't have that right now. Texas used the UGA game plan against Bama. Yeah, a little bit. Again, I think this is just the blueprint going forward. Jam the wide receivers who aren't explosive already, and then that will give them issues of getting open. And your offensive line isn't great like it used to be, so you have less time to throw for those guys to get open. It's going to be a lot of relying on Bryce Young, a lot of relying on the good defense if they can get pressure, and then relying on Jahmyr Gibbs catching and a lot of running by him. I mean, he was basically through the first half their only weapon. And guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Really helps out the channel. Thank you guys for showing up. I think we're going to go for another 10, 15 minutes and then probably hop off here. I think D4 is frozen. So hopefully oh, you're not, you're good. You were stuck there for a second.
No, I was staring off in the comment section.
Yeah, that is true. And like I said, Jalen Ford played a really good game. I'm trying to think. Deshaun Jameson dropping that pick hurts. Definitely looking back on it now. But there's so many. It's hard because I feel like I'm nitpicking on all these things, guys. Like I can't really say anything bad. It is what it is. He's in deep thought.
Yeah, something like that.
Very deep thought. Man. Every time that I'm going to be thinking about this game, I'm going to think of that non-safety. I really am. Great show, fellas, and you were the first to go live, I think, post-game, so kudos. Yeah, I think we were. We usually try to be. Like, we're trying to be on here immediately after so you get our instant reaction, and I'm a lot cooler than I was. Like, again, guys, you don't understand. Like, I'm going around my living room just cussing and like, what the hell are you doing? Like, these boneheaded refereeing mistakes really bother me. They really do. Because if everyone can see it in the stadium, literally everyone else, but you can't see it and your job is to see it, it really bothers me. It really irks me. And please hit that like button, Surfer Boy. Please subscribe down below. Helps out a lot. Like you said, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. You see that on the ticker. Please do that, guys. It really helps out this brand. We're going to be here every week. We may simulcast for a while to build up this brand, this Texas channel. So please subscribe. It really helps us out. We'll be here every week, win or lose. Hopefully, we're going to be celebrating a lot more wins in the future and not as many L's as last year. And I think that is the case if we continue to play to the standard that we played to today. 100%. It's so damn obvious too. That's the thing too, is like these obvious ones. Like I said, the 3 ones that come to mind: the safety, the pass interference in the end zone, and then the face mask. Those are 3 that have to be called. And I really do think it changes the game, but it is what it is. And it's a loss either way. It hurts, but it is what it is. But it's hard to be easier to jump on here after a tight loss for what everyone thought would be a scoreboard buster by Bama. Yeah, it is. But I mean, I showed up to the game last year, when Iowa State rattled off all those points in a row and absolutely destroyed us. We show up here no matter what. We'll be here for everyone. Doesn't matter, rain, shine. We're like the Postal Service: win, loss, draw, floods. We'll be there. Does the Big 12 review the refs' performance? I don't know. I know in the NFL they do, and then basically if you don't do well enough, then you don't get playoff games. But that's about it. That's the biggest issue I have with officials. They're not held accountable. They're not held to the same standard that the players are. They're not held to the same standard that the coaches are. They're not held to the same standard that announcers are. If any of those guys mess up over and over and over again, they are either fired or they're giving a fine or something. They're punished in some way. What do you think about this one, D4?
Guys, imagine when you guys get to the SEC full time, there'll be multiple classes like this every week. I mean, if we're building to the standard where we think we should be competing in these every week.
100%. And there should be games. I mean, we act like the SEC is just a complete and utter dogfight every week. There's still those lower level teams to where if we return to the standard that we return to, that we should still destroy. Vanderbilt comes to mind. I don't think South Carolina is ever going to reach the point where where they're going to be feared. I mean, they might be pretty good in some years, other years not. So we should beat them pretty handily most of the time. Like, those are the games. Like, when you play Georgia, it should be a classic. When you play LSU, it should be a classic. When you play Bama, it should be a classic. Those teams like that. But everyone else, we should return to our standard and take care of business versus. I don't agree with that. I just don't. I don't think we will. For the simple fact is, we build up our offensive line enough. We build up our we're starting to build up our defensive line. That's still the weakness building up to. But wide receiver wise, we're good to go. Quarterback wise, we'll be good to go. Offensive line wise, we'll be good to go. It's going to be defensive line is where it's going to be the issue. And we don't have to be ready, guys. We still got years to prepare. It's not like we're heading there next year. Oh yes, Paxton. I already brought that up earlier. You know, where the ref literally chest bumps Charlie Strong and then calls a 15-yard penalty on him. Despicable.
I just seen a score.
What?
A&M's tied with Appalachian State 7-7.
What quarter? Halftime? Bro.
Yeah,
what do you have to say to that, Surfer Boy? At your quote-unquote third or fourth best team in the SEC is tied with a freaking Appalachian State. You can tell me what you want about the SEC. The middle and bottom of the SEC is just like everyone else. It's the top tier that's better than everyone else. The middle and bottom is just like everyone else's. Exactly. Thank you. Kentucky, and you can bring up, Kentucky's really good. Kentucky is an okay team. They're not great. And I think it's hilarious that people think Jimbo Fisher, they just trust him to get this, like, App State would beat Texas. Okay, I'm done putting your comments up there.
Surfer Boy, I mean, come on.
Bro, yeah. So App State would be this close with Alabama is what you're saying? Come on, bro. Like, use some common sense. Now, the thing is, what was I going to say? He made me lose my train of thought because of that absolute moronic comment. Kentucky is a good team. I'm not saying that. Their biggest issue is that people think that they're going to take this next jump, and they're, in my opinion, one of those teams where there is no next jump. Your jump has already been made. You're going to be a 9-10 win team at best, and that's the best you're ever going to be. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
Surfer Boy, we know that was last year.
Last year, that ain't this year, brother.
I would agree. If we played them this last year, they probably would have beat us. It also matters when you play them too, because if they played us at the end of the year, probably beat us. If they played us at the beginning of the year, they weren't going to beat us. And you can say whatever you want. A&M always and will be the most overhyped team with nothing to show for it. They have one national championship, guys, one, and it was in 1939. So we're talking 7 years from now. It will be what, 80 years, 90 years. So it's like, I don't want to hear about that program. It would be 90 years. They're a garbage ass program. They always have been. They always will be. Their Jimbo Fisher doesn't know how to use quarterbacks. Doesn't know how to use wide receivers. He knows how to use tight ends. I'll give him credit on that. But his wide receiver game, you can recruit whoever you want to play wide receiver there. They're never going to be good. Haynes King is a garbage ass quarterback. I've seen enough of him. He has 4 turnovers versus FCS opponents. And he was terrible versus a god awful Colorado team last year. And there it is again. A&M would draft. Man,
I've seen enough for today.
Yeah. I've seen enough internet for today. Logging off. Surfer Boy is on one. A&M has deep pockets with NIL. No doubt. Like, dude, why is someone explain to me why Evan Stewart's going to A&M? There's no explanation. Like, other than his Florida State year with Jameis Winston, who had one of the best freshman seasons of all time, winning the Heisman that year, and Kelvin Benjamin, what has that man done? He did nothing prior. He's done nothing since. And he doesn't recruit, like the quarterbacks, he can recruit whoever he wants to go there. They're not going to be good because of the offense he runs. He's not a good quarterbacks coach. He is who he is. I am wearing the Rose Bowl Vince Young jersey. I was hoping for a little luck with this jersey. Rarely wear it. Wore it today, broke it out of the closet. Helped out as much as it possibly could. Also, it is D4 Sports' birthday, so you better hit that like button for him, subscribe for him. It is your birthday. I'm right on that, right?
Yeah.
So do that. Wish him a happy birthday in the chat as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
How old are we turning today? If you want to say, you don't have to.
34.
Okay. Yeah, Surfer Boy has been kind of quiet about after the A&M comment. Maybe he left. Maybe he put down the drugs. I mean, what? Bro.
How is being a perennial 8-4 being SEC darlings? Or Texas darlings. A perennial 8-4 team is nothing to be like. We may have been down, but they will always be the little brother program. So I can't even. No, I'm not even going to argue it anymore. He's trolling now.
Oh God. Wow. That's all I can say is wow. Texas will always be more relevant than A&M. We'll always have more national championships than A&M. We'll always have more head-to-head wins versus A&M. That's all I got to say. And also, I mean, you want to defend a cult. That's on you, dude. That's on you. Dude, we're not saying last year. I don't disagree with you. 8-4 in the SEC West is better. 8-4 in any conference is better than 5-7. I don't care what conference it is, but they're not. The point is, Jimbo Fisher has built up enough on that team to where they shouldn't be going 8-4 anymore. That'd be like Sark going 8-4 consistently in year 4 and 5. Like, I don't expect that to happen. If it did happen, we would have issues with that, would we not, D4?
Oh yeah.
So, like 8-4 is fine this year. Next year we want another jump. to 10-2, 11-1, and then we won another jump. That's the thing. A&M has never made that jump. They've never made it. Surfer Boy needs to shut up. Texas is back. No, should have paused. Okay, well, I agree with everything other than Texas is back. I don't agree with that. The new format of the college football playoff will mitigate some of the SEC dominance, and Big Ten teams have some home field advantages. Oh, that is a fact. 8-4 is always better than 5-7. 100%. Yeah, like I don't really care what conference it's in. If it's in the SEC, that's even a little bit better, but it's still better. I mean, and us Texas fans are not going to like apologize for going, or I mean, are not going to make up an excuse for going 5-7. It shouldn't have happened. We shouldn't have lost to Kansas. We should never lose to Kansas other than in basketball. So we're not going to make up an excuse. Surfer Boy 3000. Let's see when Texas is 5-7 in the SEC West. I will bet you money that we will not be 5-7 in the SEC West our first year. I can almost guarantee that. You act like when you go, we're going to be thrown in. We're going to play right away. We're going to play Florida, LSU, Georgia, Alabama all in the same year. That doesn't happen. It happens like once a decade, and it's not going to happen our first year.
I don't hate on the SEC. I don't even like the Big 12.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I remember it because, I mean, I was born in 97, so I remember when Alabama wasn't good. Alabama wasn't good for a long period of my life, and then Nick Saban got there, and they're really good.
Buckeye fan here should be moved. Texas should be moved into the top 20 nation. Low 20s, in my honest opinion. If they decide to rank us, they do. If they don't, they don't. About where we're now, like Matthew said earlier, I'm worried about where we finish.
Yeah, 100%. I don't really care where we're ranked now. I do agree we'll probably be ranked in the low 20s. I said 20 to 22. But I don't really give a shit about that. I want to see at the end of the year that we're top 20, 9-3, something along those lines. I'd be 100% cool with that. That's a good season. My expectations haven't changed. My expectations will change if this team continues to play to the standard. If we see UTSA dominance and then we go out there and destroy Texas Tech, then my expectations will be risen, and the standard should be Big 12 championship. But I need to see a couple more games to say that. You might, Surferboy says you might, bro, with the new alignment. You're not, dude, do you realize they're going to make it as even more even with the new alignment? They're not going to make it to where a team has to play the 4 best teams every year. That's not going to happen. I'm not surprised that Texas Tech looks pretty good. I think Joey McGuire's a good coach. He's going to start recruiting well there. I'm not shocked by that.
No, not at all.
But 100% Paxton Houston is overhyped. I am an LSU fan. Texas will not be 5-7 in their first year. They are trending up. Yeah. So, guys, will you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. We're going to cut it off today. We will be here next week and every other week. Texas football postgame right after the game as soon as we can get it. I would say 15-20 minutes would ever be the latest. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It's been awesome hanging out with you guys talking Texas football. D4, plug that Patreon real quick for Mark Rogers.
Part of the Patreon community of college football nerds. Get in there, talk together, have a great time, network with each other, everything you can ask for. So if you're not involved in the Patreon, I would do so. Appreciate all y'all being here. And at the end of the day,
hook 'em, guys. That'll be it here. Thank you.